Hello, career thought leaders. It looks like we're live on some platforms, maybe not on all. I'm joining you from the National Career Development Association conference in, oh, sorry, it's saying it's deleted on Facebook. That's right. Um, we're not on Facebook today. Okay, I'm joining you from the National Career Development Association conference in Atlanta. So we've got the whole hotel white backboard here, but that's okay. And we are going to be talking about ways that you can use some of these productivity tools to help you with your work. And some of them I've been using for a while, some of them I haven't used. So I just wanted to share them with you, see if you've been using them, and talk about some of the use cases that you can use to help make your workflow a little bit better. So one of the easy things that we can do is use something like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, whatever your favorite system is, and think about how we can organize our tasks. And we have some colleagues that have been doing this and seeing great results just using things like ChatGPT to organize their tasks. So, here are 10 things I need to do today. Here are 10 things I need to do next week. Sort them by urgency and importance, suggest when to do each, or give me a workflow, whatever that might be, where you can get help from a generative AI in putting together your tasks. And there's some workflows and some prompts and things that are easy to find if you just start looking for them. um, if you're working with a meeting note system, sometimes it'll give you output, but it just gives you like all the action items, right? So you could use a generative AI tool to say, put these in order for me, or give me a workflow for these, or help me prioritize these. Maybe what questions should I be asking myself to best prioritize these? All of those are great ways that you can use generative AI plus some of the meeting tools that you might be using. Now, I will say that we're going to be doing another little review of the meeting tools during Tech Jam next week. So if you're interested in that, you can join us next week, as well as you'll get the recordings. One of the topics that we're going to go through is on these new meeting tools. We're also, well, not new because we went through them a few years ago, but we're going to update our thoughts on those. In addition to looking at slide creators, all of the different technologies that we can use now and to prioritize, to do meeting notes, as well as some of the other things that we're going to talk a little bit more about today. But here is the information on that if you're interested in joining us for Tech Jam next week. Let's see if I can actually get it to share. There we go. That graphic for next week's Tech Jam. Yay! So you're welcome to join us for that. Again, you get to join us live, or you can watch the recordings depending on what you prefer. So that is one of the tools that we're talking about, is that you can use generative AI, you can use some of those workflows along with some of the other tools you might be using, like a meeting notes generator. Great. But now you've just got a huge list or a transcript, and what are you going to do with that? Generative AI can help with that. Now, of course, you want to make sure you have people's permission and you are confident in what you're putting into the system before you're doing something like that and putting it in the transcript. So let's look at some of these other tools that can help you with your workflow. One of them that I've been using for a while is called Zapier or Zapier. It probably depends on who you talk to and how they pronounce it. Zapier helps you automate tasks. So it can work across a team. I work mostly with it by myself, although I've started to use it for some team stuff. It just helps you connect tasks. So it locked me out here. I'll get back in. But one of the things that we were talking about is, you might not be ready to use a full CRM, a customer relationship management system yet, but you can use a Zapier tool to have people fill out a Google form. That Google form would automatically add people to a spreadsheet in Google. And then you can use Zapier to connect that spreadsheet to an email, let's say in Gmail. So if I come in here and I create a new Zap, I can, there's some suggestions, there's some automations, there's some AI in here as well. But if you're, not ready for that yet, you can just do it yourself. You can ask AI or their co-pilot how to help you. And it will do that, sync a Google Sheet. I'm going to sync a Google Sheet with a email. So it's asking me for the Google Sheet trigger. I'm going to say new or updated row. So the form is automatically going to do that to the sheet. So let's say I have an intake form or I have a lead magnet form. When people fill out the form, they automatically get added to the sheet. And once they're added to the sheet, then I can connect that sheet and the new trigger to the next thing. So I'm just choosing things that would work here. You can have a trigger column, or it can just be the new updated row. You don't have to have a trigger column. And then once I have that set up, then the next step here for the actions would be to have it send an email. So I've got all of these different things that it could do, right? It could put somebody in my contacts, could put them in whatever, but I'm just going through this use case of, okay, I'm going to send them an email. And I can create the draft and then connect it to my account. And it would create this draft email. I can choose the email from the form that they filled out from the spreadsheet. Then I would put in the subject and the body. So using just these two tools, you couldn't necessarily personalize the email, but there are some cool things you can do using Google Workspace to personalize the emails, and that is just the next step up. But let's say you just want to send everybody who fills out your lead gen form the same email. You can easily do that using Zapier and your Google Form, Google Spreadsheet, Google Mail. So that's one of the tools, and it is free and for a certain amount of volume through Zapier, and then it's pretty low cost for a certain amount of volume. So it's a great way to get started with some of those automations. If you're just thinking, okay, I want someone to fill out a lead gen form, then they're going to go into this Google spreadsheet and they're going to get an email from my Google Mail using Zapier. So that's one of the tools that I've been using for a while. We use it for a bunch of different tasks because it does also connect to our CRM and lets us connect some of those tasks in an automated way. So one of the other systems that I was reading about and have been reading about for a while is called Magical. Now, Magical sort of acts like a text shortener where you've got text that you can shorten and put into things. But one of the use cases that it talks about is being able to use it for job applications and filling in the things that you kind of put in over and over and over again. And so it is a text expander, but you can also use it for automation. You can do workflows. So it can create some things for you. And there's some use cases in here. And I don't know why this one's really focused on healthcare. But there's some other things that you could do with Magical and and your desktop doesn't have to be in medical. So some of those use cases are being able to create that snippet of text that then you can paste over and over again, or even have it automatically load in certain apps that you're using. And so it could automatically load in some of those places. You could clipboard your notes. You could start a message based on a little personalization. So it does the snippets, it can autofill, and it does some AI text generation. If anybody's using Magical, let us know. I'd love to hear it. Otherwise, it might be something that you want to check out and learn how it's working. So one of the other tools that I've been researching a little bit is, of course, there's a lot right now about AI agents and, do you want to build your agent workforce? And so I was researching what are some of the simplest AI agent tools. And one of the things that came up was Taskade. So if any of you are using Tascade, let us know, drop a note. Maybe your first time hearing about it, which isn't surprising because it's, all of these are fairly new. And the whole idea of agents in your business is fairly new. There's some kind of discrepancy between what an agent is and an automation. An agent is supposed to do things without you having to continue to prompt it. Automation works the same way, but an agent is going out there and actually making decisions and doing things in your business. So it talks about how you can build automations and AIs with this tool, Tascade. And it kind of walks through some of the ways that you can generate it. You can train your agent to do certain things for you. And a lot of this will let you get started for free. And then as you use it more, of course, you're going to hit limits and you're going to have things you want to pay for. But it talks about how you can automate tasks, to kind of training the automation to do the things that you want to do. And complete projects. So I'll just share a few of the suggested case studies for this, thinking about the Tascade and how you might use it. You can create mind maps in it, which I know a lot of us like to create mind maps, but then it can actually take it and put it in like a calendar view, create the workflows and those types of things for getting the information out. Can create client roadmaps. So I'm going to try it for that as we're talking about implementing our CRM. How can you use some of these tools to then make your work in the CRM even better? So this one's an interesting tool, just helps you think about what you can do using automations and this new idea of agents, so you can explore that and feel like you're up on the latest. Oops, my computer froze. Let's see if we can get back to where we were. Oh no. So one of the other tools that I may not be able to show you is called Tana, Tana. It's very brief and short and easy, but it's also a kind of agent workflow tool that can automate some of your tasks so that you can start to play around with some of these automations that are possible. I think one of the things we get when we do this is then being able to share them with clients, maybe have a client check one out, and then they can say that they've implemented AI agents or AI automations in their resume. And that's one of the tricks and tips and things we are helping people with right now on their resume, their job search, is being able to communicate that they have AI skills. They could use some of these things for their job search, right? You'd use Magical to create some things to fill out job applications faster. And then you can talk about how you've used some of these AI tools to do things. One of the other tools that we talk about, and it's very similar to Zapier, is Make. Since I was already started with Zapier, I didn't try Make, but it can do some of the same things in terms of building chatbots and workflows and connecting tools through its platform. Make. There's a bunch of others like Pabbly Connect and those that we've talked about a little bit before. But those are some of the tools that we're using. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more during Tech Jam about some of the other tools like Notion and Asana and Trello, who've all kind of upgraded with AI as well. But we will talk about those a little bit more in depth with you on Zoom. So if you're interested in that, you go to careerthoughtleaders.com/techjam, and you can learn all about the technologies and the things that we'll be talking about next week during Tech Jam. Since my computer is still frozen, that will be it for today. But we will see on our next Friday in Career Services, which will be a week later in July for the 4th of July. And if you all, oh, there we go. Now we're back. But if you have topics that you want to cover or things you want to learn more about, let us know. Otherwise, we will see you for Trend Tuesday Live next Tuesday, back from our regular location. and maybe for Tech Jam starting next Tuesday and going throughout the week next week. And you can join live or get the recordings of that one. So thank you, everyone, and we will see you soon for another Trend Tuesday Live or Friday in Career Services. Have a great week, everyone.